Over in the pages of Marvel Comics, the X-Men recently suffered a devastating attack over from the anti-mutant group known as Orchis. Over on the planet of Arakko, Storm and her X-Men are also battling their own assault over from Genesis, the former wife of Apocalypse. Genesis is currently armed with the Staff of Annihilation, and in the last issue of XMenRed, we even saw her take on the Sword of Purity. My name is Arakko Braddock, and today, let's go ahead and see if Storm and the rest of her forces on Arakko are able to draw back Genesis. But before we get deeper into the video, I want to encourage you to consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the like button on our video. After the fall. As the Brotherhood reels from the cataclysmic events of the Hellfire Gala, Genesis takes advantage of the chaos and declares war. Two vast mutant armies clash, and Arakko's idols fall. But this is only the beginning of a conflict that will remake the Red Planet. And whatever happened to Isca the Unbeaten? XMenRed 14 is written by Ewing, featuring art from Yıldıray Çınar, colors from Federico Blee, letters from VC's Ariana Maher, and design from Tom Muller and Bowen. Here's a look over at the cover for the issue, illustrated from Stefano Caselli and Jesus Aburtov. Really like the way we can see Apocalypse and Genesis looming large over the background of Arakko. Then in the foreground, we can see people like John Ironfire and Storm. And I want to extend a quick thank you over to Adventures in Poor Taste and discuss a little bit of the artwork over in the series from Yıldıray Çınar. So I think XMenRed is a particularly difficult book to draw because of all the different mutants, characters, and aliens throughout the series. Really think that Çınar was able to craft such a great line to the issue, really recalling some past work of artists like Stefano Caselli over in the title. I think this page that we have up on the screen is a great kind of indication of some of Çınar's art over in the series. We can see that kind of draftsmanship. That line over in the issue is really precise, extending to characters like Storm. I think the acting is so precise that it even brings out some elements of her more regal personality. The way that Çınar has laid out this page and featured all these panel bleeds, I think is really, really interesting. And when it comes time to render so many figures to really depict elements of the Genesis War, I think Çınar does just a great job introducing so many different characters and showing a big brawl here. I've always enjoyed Çınar's art over in the past, and I think he lent so much kind of expression and wonder into this issue of X-Men, which must be hard to draw given just the sheer amount of figures over on the page. In terms of the script on XMenRed 14, watching Storm and the rest of the mutants kind of come together after fleeing from the previous issue where they fought an attack over from Genesis, I think was particularly fascinating. And this issue kind of immediately picks up on where we left off with Genesis as she's wielding both the Staff of Annihilation and Purity together to really kind of take charge of Arakko and show that her counter offense here is one that really needs to be taken seriously. Following this moment over in the issue, we also get a chance to touch on the various elements kind of throughout Arakko and to see how the other people of Arakko are sort of reacting to kind of like the changing weather conditions and other elements too. Some of this could definitely be brought on over from FallofX with Earth's mutants as well. Speaking of FallofX, the next couple scenes in the issue are devoted to kind of showing both Storm and Sunspot what's happened during some of these moments. Getting to see kind of Storm's reaction as well as some of the rest of the cast over in XMenRed was a little bit thrilling. And also, I think sometimes XMenRed can feel a little bit disconnected from the main side of sort of X-Men series. So getting the chance to really illustrate the fact that other conditions over from the Orchis attack are really centered over in the issue, I think is just a great sign that shows how cohesive the X-Men line is as a whole right now. Currently, I wish there were some elements of XMenRed that were a little bit more in line with Orchis and the rest of FallofX, but I still appreciate those ties to Covenant and the rest of Orchis as well. Getting to see Storm really rise up on the last couple pages of the issue and show the full extent of some of her abilities, I think was a little bit interesting here too. And one character who is going to continue to fascinate me as XMenRed has gone on has been none other than the Fisher King. Some of his conversations with Magneto very early on in XMenRed really caught my interest and showed me that Ewing had such a great kind of care with his characterization that we were probably going to be in for something really interesting with him. And I think some of the final moments of this issue, as well as the upcoming cover for the next issue, tease that we're going to get some great appearances over from the Fisher King in future issues. Also, I love that characters like John Ironfire are so prominently featured in XMenRed. I feel like this book is pushing some interesting new characters to the forefront of the X-Men line, and I really hope that they stay here for many, many years to come. So in terms of XMenRed 14, I thought this was another thrilling chapter of the series, really characterizing the next stages over of the Genesis War. Getting to see Storm and the rest of the mutants fight back over against Genesis in this issue was absolutely thrilling. We spent the last couple chapters of XMenRed really building to a massive war, so I feel like this was finally the chapter where we got to see the two factions really go to bat over in this series. If I had one solid criticism over in XMenRed, as mentioned earlier, I wish there were just a few more pieces connecting this over to FallofX, but I'm still incredibly intrigued at where this is headed next, and I can't wait to see Apocalypse return over to this series. I saw Apocalypse is going to be featured in a future issue of Immortal X-Men, so I'm really hoping that in the very, very near future, Apocalypse will be more firmly integrated over in this series. I want to know from you, what are some of your thoughts over on this chapter of XMenRed? Have you been enjoying the Genesis War up to this point? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for coming to check out our video review on XMenRed 14. We'll be back to cover future issues of the series and to see where FallofX is headed next. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon.